The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com
We were on the break!
with Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Monday, December 6th, 2021, season 17, episode number 72. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break. We are live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star, coming off a little bit of a weekend here where we didn't have football that we had to cover. Got to watch a little football, so we got a lot of talk to do today about this team. We're going to actually take this day to kind of today and tomorrow, actually, to take a lot of questions. I have some questions lined up for this group that we'll talk about. We'll take some questions from you guys. I know you've already been sending them on Twitter. I've gotten lots of questions there. And you guys can also call us. The number is 888-855-2297. Again, 888-855-2297. You should take advantage of this. It's not very often that we allow you guys to send us questions and we actually get to them. So take advantage.
There it is.
Yeah.
There's the qualifier.
You got 2 days of this, so make sure you take advantage of it. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can over these next couple shows. Nick, give me a 72.
I was going to give you the translation of what that really meant.
What?
That we're taking calls means I didn't really feel like doing a rundown.
Not true, because I got a list of questions here that I got.
There's only
together for you guys.
172. It's Too Tall Jones.
Is there only 170?
No, there's probably Travis Frederick, I think, wore 72, maybe.
Travis will take offense to that.
He did.
Good.
I don't care.
He took offense to a lot of things. That's good. He's a great center, great player. They need him. They miss him. But Too Tall Jones, 72.
Too tall.
I mean, he played for 15 years.
Let me ask you a question. As a guy that covered, didn't cover, but
Yeah.
you watched the Cowboys a long
Yeah.
time. Was he, like, for an outside, I wasn't a Cowboys fan, was he ever as big as his persona? Because,
No.
of course, as a non-Cowboys fan, you hear Too Tall Jones, he's big, you always thought, ooh, Too Tall Jones. Was he ever that good?
No, I think if his name was Ed Jones, I don't
He'd
think
just
he
been
would.
another player.
I do, and I thought the same thing about Mean Joe Green, and then no, that's not. He
not
he
quite.
was
It's a little different.
awesome. He was awesome.
He
in
was
so
actually
many
Mean
ways.
Joe, yeah.
Shout out to Heckma Harrison, who's related to Mean Joe Green.
Yeah.
I'm sure people have know that. Too Tall Jones, I think he was the other side of Harvey Martin. Harvey Martin was better. He was tall, 6'9", he's tall, and he batted
And he had
down
a cool
passes.
name.
Yeah, he's cool and all that. And I think he was a really good player. Made 3 Pro Bowls. But I think his longevity, he played, and he was number 1 pick. I don't know if he ever lived up to that, but I don't know. I mean, 70. He's 72. Tristan Hale's also 72.
Let's go.
Let's get back. He's back.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He's back. He's one of the guys.
He left again and then came back.
A lot of stuff happened last week. Just a lot of stuff.
There's too much stuff happening with this team. I'm actually looking forward to this week. You get, hopefully, you got coaches all back. You got players all back. I heard you say this morning on the radio, Nick. This might be the healthiest they've been all season.
Injury-wise.
If there are no more COVID cases.
Today's a big testing day. Although
today, tomorrow, Wednesday, right?
it's 10 a.m. Knocking on all the wood around me, but I think if something ridiculous was going to pop off, it would probably be in the news cycle by now.
Well, but I'm not thinking about that so much. I'm thinking about, guys get a weekend when they don't have to play football.
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
Maybe they do a little traveling. Maybe they're exposed somewhere.
Looks like
COVID
they
still
did.
is a thing,
It
right?
looks like they did.
So it's certainly that's the part you got to be worried about
watch
throughout
them
the week.
Come back this next few weeks, just kick ass completely, and then I'll be like, "Yep, never doubted them, not a single time.
At least
I knew
yourself-
they had it in them."
At least you're self-aware.
I want to know what you say the other way. If it goes the other way, what are you saying? Because this is going to get real interesting. They got some division
people are
opponents
gonna
coming up.
start throwing names and who are we gonna fire this year? This coming year.
if they keep if they win, reel off a few more wins, then the narrative's going to be, well, they won't win the Super Bowl because they can't win the AFC, but they can beat everybody else.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we'll see what all happens. We're actually going to save the talk of the rest of the NFC till tomorrow. There were some interesting things that happened this weekend. We'll get into some of that tomorrow. But I wanted to hit some bigger picture questions today, and I'm going to start with some questions I have for you guys. We'll get some questions from our listeners here in a second. I want to start with a true-false question. The defense is the most reliable unit on this team. True or false?
True.
True. They're more reliable right now.
Why are you making that face?
Because I'm waiting for Dave, and I want to see if we're going to get a discussion here.
False.
False?
I hate it's Monday. It's Monday morning after a long
And I wanted
weekend.
to start with this
It's an
one
easy question.
because this one makes
Is
you
it?
think for a second.
Yes.
Why?
The most reliable?
Most reliable,
What's
yeah.
reliable mean? Like reliable to not piss you off? Reliable to do their job?
Reliable to be who you thought they were.
No,
That's the thing.
Okay.
Right.
Who did we think they
okay.
were?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
we thought they sucked.
We're grading them on a curve right now, I think.
Yeah, we
You know?
absolutely
They gave
are.
up 36 points 2 weeks ago.
That's what I'm
so,
saying.
yeah.
They had an awful day against Vegas not that long ago, 10 days ago.
Reliable to me, I see it as who has been like most consistent throughout the whole season.
You know
They've
what?
been the team that you know kind of what you're gonna get. They've been solid. They're not the best defense in the NFL, but they've given you enough for you to have your offense do what they need to do. Now, it's on the offense who hasn't been able to consistently give you what they need to give you.
You know what? You're absolutely like I'm thinking through this live. This is where rundowns come in handy. But now that I say that, I think you're right. I think you're right because really, what they've played 12 games, and the defense, more often than not, probably in 10 of those 12 games, has done what they do. Like they pretty reliably get picks. They pretty reliably hold people below 24 points. Even some of the uglier losses like Denver, it's not like the defense just got run out of the building immediately. I mean, they didn't play well, but like Denver, they didn't have a 3-score lead until like midway through the third, right? Like it was 16-0. They were forcing them to kick field goals a little bit, whereas the offense is kind of, no-showed at least 3 or 4 times at this point. So
And recently. It's all about recency, right?
And
What
even
you remember recently.
And even in the run of blowouts, like the 40-point games in September, the Carolina game, the Giants game, the defense was scoring you points in that game, in those games as well. So yeah, I think true.
Nick, you still holding with false? True?
Yeah, but it just goes to show this team can be really good. This could be a team that can win. Can get to the Super Bowl. It really can, because if you're if you got the number one offense in the NFL, and we're saying that the defense is more reliable,
Are they still up there?
I think so. I think they're still number one.
They're still up at the top of the list.
But they're not.
Sure.
They're right there, and that just goes to show. And I think a lot of it comes down to expectations. We look at what we're expecting them to be, but you guys are right. The defense has been. They get picks, they get turnovers, they give opportunities for the offense, and the games that they've lost, the offense really didn't show out. So I think the answer is right. The answer is yes. The defense is more reliable. The offense on their best day is better than the defense on its best day.
Yes,
but it doesn't always happen.
And let's not confuse them with a team that is going to get carried where they want to go by
They ain't
their
the 85
defense.
Bears.
Right.
They're not.
But they've surpassed any expectation you could ever say. And Micah Parsons is just he's just an animal.
And
he's a lion.
let's remember they still have not played with their full complement of parts.
Not yet.
And hopefully that comes this weekend. But they still haven't done that. And so to be playing as well as they are, again, not perfect, but playing as well as they are with kind of having to mix guys and figure out places for guys, you give them all their players at one time, let's see how far they can go. Maybe they do become a defense that's even more reliable than what we've seen so far.
True.
They're 7th in offensive efficiency right now, which is they were up in the top 3 before, but still.
Explain to people what offensive efficiency means.
Just Football Outsiders, DVOA. It's basically
Again, explain to people what that is.
Great explanation.
I know what you're talking about, but I get into analytics. Everybody doesn't. So explain.
DVOA is just a weighted term where they literally compare the success of every play that you run in a season up against the league standard and see how you fare. So like every time you're snapping the ball, how well do you do? Yeah. And there's no such thing as a perfect stat, but it's just a reliable metric for how not only how well you move the ball, but how reliably you do it. There you go.
Perfect. All right, let's move on to the next question. Micah Parsons, this is again true or false. Micah Parsons should be Defensive Player of the Year.
Should be or will be?
Should be.
Actually, yeah. I don't know.
Not the best player. I don't think he's the best defensive player in the league. I don't think he's the best defensive player in the league. I'm sorry, I can't go there. And maybe that's just me being stubborn.
No, I really.
Which you can do.
Now I'll say this. inside linebacker, I don't watch them all, but like, I think he could be all pro. I do. I think he could be an all pro inside linebacker. I think Myles Garrett though is pretty damn good over there.
Yeah, absolutely. When you start talking about defensive player of the year, offensive player of the year, all of them are going to be really, really good. I guess what I get back to is everything that he's done this year.
Yeah.
I think that you can't just say he's just a pass rusher. No. He's a lot more than that.
No,
so when you factor it all in, should he be defensive player of the year?
I prefer to answer it this way, and I don't think he will be because there's too many things.
That wasn't the question.
There's too many things working against him. He's got a teammate.
Dave, here's your defensive player of the year vote. Who are you voting for?
Yeah,
that's what he's
I know.
asking.
I'm a Scantron, where you actually can only mark.
You can only mark one.
I take the easy way out.
And you mark both and get it wrong?
No, I give it to. I'd have to go look. I either give it to T.J. Watt or Myles Garrett, and I give Mike a defensive rookie of the year. It's just, and that's why I say that's what voters are going to do
that's
too.
That's what they do.
But
they vote
by the way,
they're going to say we don't want you winning every award.
I can put you here though, and still give you your props.
Yes, and I don't think the likelihood is that he will win. The question really is, should he?
Yeah,
is he in that category of player where he should be?
Basically, I think
a serious contender.
I think I can speak for Nick here. Is that he's got a case, but you just feel weird saying it. You're just like, oh, so he's Lawrence Taylor because he's the only other rookie to do it.
Yeah,
you want to put him in that category? Maybe you should, but do you want to be the one that does it?
I'm okay with that.
Okay, if you're okay with that, that's fine.
Derek,
but those of us
Derek,
who
screw the true-false game for a second, all right?
Okay.
Say what you want to say.
Just make your case.
Say what you want. You want to say it.
Well, I made the case last week.
I know.
I said I cannot think of it, and I've been asking people. Everybody I run across that we start talking about the Cowboys, I've asked them all the same question: name a defensive player in the history of the NFL that's done all the things that this guy's done in his rookie year. I can't find one. I honestly can't find one.
Get a pick,
Last
Micah.
week,
he needs a pick to complete.
That'd be nice.
He needs to hit for the cycle.
last week, I was sitting on my desk, and you, Derek,
Yeah.
you were talking to Nick about Micah, and you were like so excited. Your voice hit like a high pitch, and like when a teenager is going through that transition, a kid is transitioning, and I'm like, dang, I guess Derek is really excited.
You know
about
me
Micah.
when I get passionate
Derek
about
hit
something,
puberty.
I get real excited, and I start talking fast, and high voice goes up, everything. But I think this guy's that good.
Yeah,
he really is that good, and
Yeah.
I can't find anybody to give me rationale for why he isn't as good as I think he is. Look, I'm okay with the idea if somebody can give me that rationale. I haven't been able to find it.
Right.
Like everybody that I talk to, they're like, that is a question I can't really answer. And I'm left to think that he may be the best so far. Like, I don't know.
Those other two guys that Dave just mentioned are guys on teams that are probably out of the playoff race or fighting for it right now, and so
wild card race.
Wild card. So you think, all right, well, who is the top team? Like who's? And the Patriots are actually the top team in the AFC, which
very quietly
amazing.
have a corner who's having a Diggs-like season. By the way,
that's true. That guy is
J.C. Jackson.
Yeah, he's jumping.
What does he have? Like one or two less than?
I think he's
Trayvon?
got
played
7,
tonight.
but they haven't played tonight. So
Yeah, get another one.
He could get there.
Another one.
And then on the NFC, I mean, the Cardinals have the number 1 seed, right?
I think so.
currently, yes.
Yeah, they only have 2 losses.
I mean, I don't know. Is Buda Baker? I mean, I don't know. I mean, who's carrying those teams? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, the Cowboys are right up there. You can make the case for. I mean, 5 weeks ago, if you would have said the Cowboys would have a contender for the Defensive Player of the Year, we'd have been like, oh well, Diggs must have 10, 11.
You'd think, yeah.
But he's not. I mean, I think people can not see through Diggs, but they see that he's got some issues too. He makes picks. I'm not gonna sit here and call him Chris Carter. I'm not gonna sit there and say all he does is catch. All he does is get picks, because that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But he's got some things in his game that you can see why he was maybe he fell to the second round, but you can also see why he had first round grades because he can make plays.
Yeah. I'll just put it this way. I think we actually answered a mailbag question about this today, and what I said was, I don't think he'll win it, but I no longer think that that's a crazy thing to say. Well, he absolutely deserves to be in that conversation. His versatility is amazing. I just think the precedent is what's going to turn people off. They're like, are we really? We're going to put this guy in conversation with Lawrence Taylor? And then you think, he's got Rookie of the Year locked up right now. I'm sure there's somebody else having a decent season, but between how amazing Micah is and the Cowboys' star brand power, he's already got that one. So I think people are going to say, Micah gets Rookie of the Year, Watt, Garrett, whoever gets Player of the Year, and we can just make it easy on ourselves.
Blame Broadus for that. You know, Dave, I know it probably pisses you off that Dave does that, and I think it stems from Broadus. Because Broadus doesn't waste his time with stuff like that. He'd be like, if it's not going to happen, why am I going to sit and argue about it?
Dave will tell me it all the time.
So it's like,
I'm not going to talk about what I think.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter
what I think. It's about what's going to happen, which is fair, too. It doesn't always make for, you want to have this discussion.
For radio, we kind of have to.
That's like your opinion.
I always offer my opinion. I just want to qualify.
Yeah. Can you just see Broadus sitting there with his feet up? Like, what are we talking about here? It's not going to happen. They're not going to vote a rookie in, okay?
I'll tell you. Okay. I'll say this, too, though. Especially this year. I was thinking about this on the drive to work. It feels like so much more season is left than there usually is at this point in December.
Even though it's just one more game.
5 games. I mean, if Micah keeps up this pace, he's got, I think it's 5 games in a row with a sack, or at least 4.
Yeah.
No, 5. Yeah.
Okay. Do the math on that. I mean, 16 sacks, maybe throw in a forced fumble or an interception.
Pass defenses.
We're talking
quarterback pressures. He's got everything.
Because you're talking about breaking the record now.
Yeah.
Now the record for rookie sacks is 14.5. Yeah. And somebody actually did this. Remember we talked about it? I'm like I think I saw where he ranks 5th in sacks in the NFL. He ranks 96th in pass rush attempts.
That's a great stat.
Wow.
So
that's a great stat.
So yeah, I mean, and then when he's not doing that, he's doing other things, and which then people argue, well, why is he only ranked 96th? And like
maybe you should be sending him a little bit more.
It's like a pinch hitter that leads the league in homers. You're like, wait a second here, what are we doing?
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, you kind of have to. You and I had this discussion maybe a couple weeks ago. Like what you got right now at linebacker, you kind of need him at linebacker. When you get those pass rushers back, I think you got to use him at linebacker just because linebacking crew outside of him is not very good, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't believe honestly that Leighton Vander Esch had 1 tackle. And 0 solo tackles, just an assisted tackle for the game.
As a linebacker.
I mean, that's
job number 1.
I mean, I think Jabril Cox got a tackle the other week, and he's been on IR. I mean, I'm just saying you get tackles if you're a linebacker.
Can we talk about him real quick?
We're going to talk about him. We got to go to a break, but that's probably going to take a segment. So let's just go to break first, and we'll come back and we'll have a little conversation on Leighton Vander Esch. We'll do that when we come right back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching Grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at Stetson.com/cowboys.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar, and a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Back to the break.
It's a great people, great pay replay. You've heard Jason Witten has joined the Caliber Collision team. If you want to join him, do great work with great people for great pay. Apply now at jobs@caliber.com. That's jobs@caliber.com.
Welcome back. It is the second segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. We're talking Cowboys football. We're into the final quarter of the season. It's December and 5 more games left, and so we should have a pretty good idea. We're past Thanksgiving. We should have a pretty good idea of this team. So you guys should be able to give me some very thoughtful answers here on this team. So here's the question. We got this question from Jazzy Joe on Twitter. He says, "Why not? Right? Why not bench Leighton Vander Esch?
For who? For what?"
I hate that answer.
Why?
No, not to say it's not right.
Oh.
I'm saying I hate it because when you get into a situation where you know a player is not playing very well, but you don't have an answer, like that's a problem.
I don't like questions like that because it's like, we talk about it all the time. You say it to us every time we come into your office about something. You're like, okay, I hear you, but what's the solution?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if you had somebody sitting there that was way better, you would do it. But I mean, Luke Gifford, who?
Luke Gifford and Francis Bernard.
No.
It's a sneaky, brutal loss that Jabril Cox tore his ACL. And that's not to say, I doubt he would be playing all of the snaps right now, but they gave him
maybe he'd be playing a significant amount by now.
It's hard to say the number, but
it's bigger than sneaky.
You're right. I mean, I agree. I've been talking about it for weeks. I mean, they would have been increasing his role this whole time. You know, they started with goal line. If he answers that, it gets bigger and bigger. And oh, by the way, Keanu Neal and Leighton Vander Esch, neither one of them is really looking like a guy that you want to be part of your long-term future.
Right.
Jabril Cox is, and he would be that much more ready to assume a bigger role next year if he was healthy right now.
And they'd have a better idea about him.
Right.
Then you're like, okay, well, Jabril can do this, this, and this. But right now, you don't really know. What you do know is that he can chase down Daniel Jones and like smack the heck out of him at the one.
It's going like you're going into the draft saying, we have two studs who are only 1 year into their contract at linebacker versus, well, we got Micah and we feel good about Cox, but we don't really know.
It's going to be a domino effect there on those decision making because it's like, okay, let's start instead of linebacker, let's start at defensive end. What are we doing? Are we re-signing Randy? If we do, for how much? Can we keep both of these guys? Is Micah going to play defensive end?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just a lot of
what's Tank's long-term outlook.
Exactly, and then you figure all this out. So it's an interesting thing. But so go back to Leighton. I mean, he's not playing like the guy we thought he was, but I don't know if you have another option right now. I don't see him just making plays that are just getting. I mean, is he making bad plays? He's making some. He's making some bad plays. But, I mean, I think he's just not standing out. And as a linebacker, you should stand out more.
I want to try to understand the how. How did we get here to this point of us talking about him in this way? I know previous years he's been dealing with injuries, and the times that he would go back on the field, you know, you can blame the injury and he would still make certain plays here and there, and definitely looked better than what Jalen did at the time. But then you never had him be fully healthy. Like this year, he hasn't been out, right? He's been playing the whole time.
I don't think he's missed a game.
I don't think he's missed a game.
Yeah.
But you know something? I don't look at him like I don't think he has played like he did his rookie year since.
No, never. No.
Even in times he came back from injury, like he could get a play or two here or there, but overall, I don't think he's been back to that level, which does seem a little curious that you could play as well as he did his rookie year. I mean, the guy was an All-Pro as a rookie, and then just completely fall off the map.
Yeah, go back to the game Thursday night. I mean, where was Taysom Hill running a lot? Like, a lot of it was right up the middle.
Yeah, I'm going to say between the tackles.
I mean, and they ran the ball with Ingram. He was running up the middle. And they weren't really going sideline to sideline that much.
Yeah.
You should get 4 or 5 tackles just by doing that. You know, and I got to go back and see how many snaps he had, but he was out on the field. He just wasn't around the ball, and that's just odd for him and his style. I mean, because he's up there in I would imagine, I don't know this, he's probably 5th on the team in tackles, maybe.
It's not great for a linebacker, though.
No, you would. Yeah. I mean, this team's built differently. I mean, Jaron Kearse is leading the team in tackles,
but they play him around the line. They
play him around there. You know, and Barry Church will let you know that too, because Barry Church, he's about to to be the first player since Barry Church. No, he's not going to catch him, but the first player since Barry Church, for safety to lead the team in tackles. And he's like, well, he's playing like a linebacker.
Right.
And Barry asked me,
A little different.
He's like, how many does he have? I was like, 75. He's like, oh, he ain't catch me. I had 130. He said he had 135.
Oh, 135?
I don't remember him at 135.
I know Barry.
Must have been a bad team.
I was going to say, I know Barry played in the box a lot, but a safety with 135 tackles.
They weren't good. That's not a good thing.
That means your linebackers are really bad.
Leighton played 56% of the snaps. So, I mean, he was getting rotated a lot, but still, one tackle.
Was it just J-Ron playing that other linebacker spot when he wasn't in there? If he's only playing 50% of the snaps.
Yeah, it has. I mean, yes, because Keanu Neal played even less than that. He played 33. J-Ron Kearse he's a linebacker. He is a linebacker. Yeah. He is their nickel and dime personnel box guy. Yeah. It's a different way to do it, but that's what he's been doing.
What did Micah play?
93. No, yeah, 93%, 65 snaps.
And how many? I mean, he rushed a lot, right?
Yeah. I don't know about that because he was at linebacker most of the game.
He might have done.
He was on the line some, but he was at linebacker.
If he was good with that, then that's perfect. Here's a couple things about his game. You always say this, Derek, about DeMarcus Ware or guys that rush the passer. There's two different types. There's a guy that gets a lot of sacks, and then there's a guy that gets the sacks like when you have to have it. Yep. Last two games in overtime, he made a play that you would think that would get you off the field. Set up a 3rd and 18. It just didn't work, and they lost to the Raiders. But he made a huge play in that game, and he made the play of the game to start the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. They got him out of field goal range and kept it as a 2-score game because it's a 2-score game for Taysom Hill. Guess what? It means he has to throw it. And guess what? The Cowboys caught just as many as the Saints guys did, I think, in the fourth.
Unless you have Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson, I think you got to consider not running boots against this defense. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. He's not the one to get fooled. He closes too fast.
He doesn't get fooled, and he's going to catch you. Yeah. I mean, if he can catch Taysom Hill the way he did. I mean, he did it to Justin Herbert, too, who's one of the more athletic quarterbacks in the league. Like, unless you have a sprinter playing quarterback, it's probably not worth the risk.
All right, we're going to go to the next question. The biggest problem for the Dallas offense is?
Offensive line.
Yeah.
Center. Guard. I mean,
he's a Pro Bowl leading vote getter.
He plays for the Cowboys.
Well,
Connor ain't getting any votes.
Hold on.
He's been there for 3 weeks.
Hold on. The last month of the season, let's be fair. I mean,
he's been a lot better.
Be honest, we haven't seen a whole lot of issues really with him. Snaps have been good.
He's played a full season now.
He has.
One season.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
He should be better, right? That's kind of what you're expecting.
Hey, I hate playing these games, and I'll tell you why. Because it all works in harmony or disharmony. Mm-hmm. Like, Dak is pressing. I think Dak is pressing. He's played better than a lot of haters want to give him credit for. He had 3 or 4. I meant to say that I was remote, so I didn't want to push the issue. He had 3 or 4 of the best throws of his season in New Orleans. Like the one to Lamb that kind of arced through the slot over the guy's. That was incredible. Mm-hmm. He had. I know it was incomplete, and that nobody cares about that. But the one that Lamb caught in the back corner of the end zone out of bounds. Incredible, more by Lamb than Dak, but still.
That was training camp Lamb. Like that was the same play, similar play in training camp where he was out of bounds. We were like, I don't care, but it was such a great catch. Right?
Yeah,
put it up. Show fans.
I forgot about that.
Show fans.
You're like, we're not posting that he was out of bounds. Like,
no, it's a great catch. Put it up. But fans want to see that.
Dak threw 3 or 4 laser beams in that game. So
it was like a lifetime ago.
It does. It really does. But I think he's pressing. I think the offensive line has.
Are they the reason that he's pressing?
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
are the receivers the reason that he's pressing? Is not having Amari Cooper played Thursday, but it was 18 snaps. He was basically a 3rd and 4th down guy. Again, does not having him to take pressure off of everybody else, does that make it harder to find the throwing?
I mean, and that is the question. What is the biggest problem?
I think it's just.
But
all
I think
connected,
they all
though.
connect.
I mean,
yeah.
Seriously,
this is all Tyler Biadash's fault.
I've never said this before, but hold on. The neck bone's connected to the calf bone. Seriously. Yeah. Okay, it all. I mean, and I'm talking about connected. Tyron's issue that's related all the way down. It relates to Dak and all that, and then Dak and the receivers. They've been out of sync.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question. If you could fix one thing, what would have the biggest impact?
If I could fix one thing, I just want this full complement of receivers and everybody that plays the skill position as healthy and available as possible. Because
health is the biggest issue.
I get to fix one thing.
Yeah.
Tyron Smith feels the best he's ever felt for real. I mean, he said it before, but I'm talking about.
Do you think he's not playing at the level that he was playing earlier in the season?
Probably not. I'm just saying I get to fix one thing. I'm making him 2014 Tyron Smith. That's what I'm making.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. I mean, he'd be
I don't know if you can fix. I don't know if that's a fixable.
Which is I'm
just Mr. Miyagi. Just
I'm dealing with
the whole thing.
I'm dealing with reality here, which is. The offensive line wasn't bad in New Orleans, were they? I mean, they couldn't run the ball.
They couldn't run, and that's
they
a
can't
problem.
run the ball.
Yeah.
But like Dak had time. I think he got sacked one time, and I know he got pressured a few times, but like it wasn't just like
he had time a lot.
He had time.
Yeah.
I think that highly of Amari Cooper, that I think he opens things up that much. If you're just telling me I can have one thing, I just want him as healthy as possible, scaring the hell out of somebody on one side of the formation and letting everybody else work off of that. I think, and the beautiful thing is they can have that as early as Sunday afternoon. So that's what I would say.
All right. Amber, you got one on that?
I mean, I would just go with the O-line in general. You've seen the passing game be affected by it. You've definitely seen the running game. And I get it that when Nick pulled up the stats, whoa, yeah, they made it sound like they were actually kind of successful a little bit in the running game last game. But to me, it was a complete mess. And I get it, you can't take away those 2 plays because they do count at the end of the day. But at the same time, looking back at other games in the season, you just haven't been successful at the runs, and you see them unable to create holes for Zeke. And that's a problem, especially when you got a guy that has been dealing with an injury himself. So to me, it's creating that balance. An O-line that's able to allow you to run the game, to run the ball somehow, kind of balance both and not turn you one-dimensional, is that you say it in English? Yeah, not turn you one-dimensional. And obviously we've seen Dak struggle at times. Like Dave said, they did get oh my God, I cannot speak English today. They did get better last week, but I need them to become more solid to where they can complement each other and allow them to do both things.
Going back to the running game, I think what my point there is, anybody who's ever won a lottery ticket before, how many do you think that they've lost? How much of that little shavings you think are on their ground right there? Because they're doing it all the time. And they do it all the time. And that's what the thing. But you got to keep doing it if you're going to win. People say, well, if I win the lottery one day, it's like, okay, but do you play? No, you don't. You have to play. And so that's the thing about running the ball. Like, you're going to keep doing it. You got to stick to it. You got to keep running, because every once in a while, you're going to get that ticket, and that's what Tony Pollard did. But you got to keep doing it, and that's what, and so that's why I think it all factors in that they didn't lose the commitment to do it.
All right. Speaking of the running game, next question: the running back that gives Dallas the best chance to win, as we sit here today, is blank.
Zeke Pollard.
Yeah, why are you doing
what
this?
year is this, Derek?
Because that's what we're doing.
What year is this?
I would say Pollard right now.
2021.
What is
Thank
it?
you, Emma, for giving
2021?
an
I'll
answer.
give you an answer.
Thank you.
2021. That's the year that we're in, and that's the running back combination that helps this team. 2021.
Tony Pollard is better with the ball in his hands right now. Yeah. Zeke Elliott is a well-rounded enough running back that he needs to be part of the offense too. How many? Like, I can't count how many times Zeke has absolutely smashed somebody that would have killed Dak. You can't take that out.
Yeah.
You can't discard it because Zeke's not dangerous as a runner, and he's not. I'm sure he feels like crap. His knee hurt, and it sucks. It sucks for him that he's dealing with that. But I need them both. I said it going into that game.
And you do have to have them both. My question becomes, if we all agree, it sounds like we all agree that Pollard is a better runner at this point. And again, that could be because of injury. That could be because of a lot of things. But if we think he is a better runner, should he not be getting more carries?
Well,
sure. Yes, unless, see how Zeke feels. We talked for weeks about this break. They've been off since they landed in Dallas on Friday morning.
Right. 10 days is a good amount of time to get some stuff right.
If he feels significantly better, then I would keep it the same. But if this is still an issue, then yes, I would prefer them not bury their head in the sand about who is a more valuable runner.
All right, so we got fast forward to Sunday. It's 3 minutes and 35 seconds to go in the game. Washington, whatever, has 2 timeouts. Cowboys have a lead 24-21. You got to run the ball. You got to run this clock out. And I know it's hard to answer that because you don't know how the game has gone on. But do you think Zeke's the guy? I mean, Zeke, or do you want Pollard running the ball when you know there's going to be a stacked front? Who do you want running the ball right there?
Based on what I've seen over the last, 4 to 6 games, I think I'd rather have Pollard running the ball. And again, the only reason is because I think they're both going to get stopped a lot. 2-yard gain, 1-yard gain, maybe negative. I think that's going to happen because this offensive line isn't blocking very well in the run game. Here's the difference. The difference is if Pollard gets that crease, he might go 50. I don't think Zeke's going to do that. And so that's where I think they're about that. There was a time, don't get me wrong, there was a time when even though I thought Pollard had the home run ability, Zeke was still going 4, 6, 7.
Right.
That's not really happening as much right now, and that's why I think I'd rather go with Pollard.
I hear that, but I don't need 50 so much there. You need 10 or 11. What I wonder is, and I haven't seen Pollard do this a lot. I haven't seen Zeke do it a lot either. But I'm talking about when you get hit 1 yard, do you make it 3? Are you making it?
But that's
4?
my point. I don't think Zeke has been doing that much recently.
And
recently, I haven't really seen that from Zeke.
I think Pollard's better at that than he gets credit for.
Yeah,
he's
he
a
is better at
powerful
that.
runner.
People like to say he doesn't run between tackles. He absolutely runs between tackles.
He's not a dainty back. He can do that.
He's
personally,
he's like Tony Dorsett. Honestly, I can't.
Oh, we compared Micah to Lawrence Taylor.
Well,
so
look at all the greats back.
But Tony Dorsett was not big like that. But he was fast and he could get through and all that. I mean, oh my God, I can't believe it. Tony Pollard, Tony Dorsett.
Here we go.
I would motion CD out of the slot, give him a jet sweep, and have him get 9, and then it doesn't matter who gets the last one. That's what I would do. But shouts out Kellen. Maybe see more of that. That's what bothers. You're right. You do have to have patience and commitment to the running game. But again, they ran for more than 3 yards 6 times out of 24. Mix it up.
They got athlete and run to the side. That's what happened. Their running game was outside the tackles, and that's maybe what they have to do.
And you're not going to run a toss. You're not going to run a toss sweep every time you run it. I get it, but there's got to be more ways you can vary up what you're doing than here we go, a dive right. Damn, it didn't work again. All right, let's try it to the left this time. No, you can be a little more original than that.
Yep. All right. Final question before we get to some fan questions. When Terrence Steele returns from COVID protocol, who should start at right tackle? Again, should. This is your opinion, not what you think will happen. Who should be your starter at right tackle?
I'm like, whatever at this point. I'm like, whatever. Do whatever
one.
You want. You're gonna do whatever you want.
Have you noticed a noticeable difference between the two of them? Honestly,
I have.
No, I can't sit here and tell you that I have.
And the only way I think there could be a case made for one, it would be if you wanted to move the other to another position.
Yeah. If
you thought we're still having problems at left guard, which I think they are, and you thought Lyle Collins is a better option than either of the two guards we have playing, either of the two guys we have playing left guard, then I say Steele returns at right tackle. You move Lyle Collins to left guard and see what you can get out of that.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way to answer this without bringing in the politics of football that everybody wants to pretend don't exist. Yeah. But if you put Terrence Steele back there, then I just assume you're making significant big-term decisions.
That means something for next year.
Lyle Collins, I assume, won't be here if he's not your starting right tackle. I doubt he wants to play left guard permanently. The money's at tackle. He's always said he views himself as a tackle. And so I'll just say I think he should be the starting right tackle unless you are committed to shuffling things up in the offseason, which that's fine if you are, but I don't think you're making that move unless you're comfortable making big decisions about that later on.
Yeah, I mean,
so I would just keep things the way they are unless you're deciding to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you said what's the most significant difference between the two, and there it is. I mean, I just looked it up: $6.1 million, $780,000. That's their cap hit this year.
When is Steele's deal up?
It's an undrafted free agent, so he should have one more year.
He'll be restricted.
They got time with him at this amount of money.
He'll be restricted in 2023.
That's true. 3-year deal and you're restricted. So, I mean, it's very easy to hang on to undrafted free agents.
On the field, you guys have said there's not a significant difference. But if we go back to the time that Dial was brought back in, I think that since then, the O-line has not played as good as they were playing prior to that change.
Fair.
That's a
so,
good point, yeah.
however you put it, aside from Connor Williams making the mistakes that he was making and all that, I think that the offensive line did become worse after that move.
I'm going back to Connor Williams. If we were asking questions, that would be what I would do. I don't know about the right tackle. I can tell you, I'd go back to Connor Williams at left guard.
I think I'd
fix your penalties and play at left guard.
You think he was better earlier this season than what we've seen from McGovern?
The running game has been better. I mean, to steal her point. I mean, and you're right about that. That also was happening around that time. I think that they ran the ball better with him. And now the penalties are certainly a problem, but I mean, Connor has some penalties. McGovern has some, not to that level. But I think that he was blocking better too. So I think I would go back to that.
I don't disagree, and I don't know that Connor McGovern's been awful. But
I'm not throwing him under the bus.
He hasn't improved anything to the point that you're like, yes, this was the right call.
But same thing. I'm not going to look that up, but it's the same type of deal. We're talking about next year. If it's that close on the field, one guy you think is not going to be here, one guy is, then it goes back to the Jabril Cox thing. It's like, God, I wish when it comes time to making decisions, what do we know about this guy? And if you never played McGovern, then you're like, how are you going to sit there and fight for him if you didn't play him? So
that's a really good point. And I think anybody knows by now that I'm an LC stan. He went to LSU. We get it. But, like, this is a business, and for a team that's kind of going to be close up against the cap, if you think, I mean, we just said we don't think there's that big of a difference.
But except for the money.
And so Terrence Steele could be a way to get you, you're like, wow, we're only paying our starting right tackle $800,000. That could really help us out in the spring. So that's something you have to consider. And to be fair, I don't know if you saw this, but I don't know how much it would cost to release or trade Lyle. I don't know that stuff, but
yeah, I can.
I'm sure there would be a pretty sizable dead cap hit.
Yeah.
But
all right,
I would make a big change and go back to what you had before.
Just go back to where you were. Yeah.
Lyle, bench. You got Connor Williams back in. Connor McGovern, use him the way you were utilizing him. Mm-hmm. That was very creative. I think that added an extra spice to the offense. So do it that way. And I mean, I think you get more out of both players in that kind of role. You get more out of both Connors. Connor Williams, Connor McGovern. Yes. But anyways, I would go back to that.
I love the way you make it so simple. I actually think we ought to.
It is. People like to what's the opposite of simple?
Complicate.
Yeah.
See, I cannot speak today. What my vocabulary
but
in English.
there is something to the fact that, like, you still are dealing with human beings. So you do have to deal with emotions, and you have to deal with, you don't want to create division. You want to create unities. There's a lot of things to factor in when you start talking about how you make decisions with a group of people.
It's a hard business.
I know it is.
Going back to that aspect, I mean, if they're hell-bent on doing it, I guess they could. But, like, getting rid of Lyle doesn't really do anything for you. Like, it's a $14 million cap hit and a $1.3 million savings. And even if you did it as a June 1, you'd just be spreading that out over 2 years. So it would hit you, well, no, yeah, okay. You would save $10 million if you made him a post June 1. So, again,
yeah, I'm not doing that.
Deep in the weeds here, but
Tyron Smith hasn't proven to me that he can just completely stay healthy.
And with all the problems you got to tackle,
here,
absolutely, I'm with you on
maybe
that.
drafting one in the first round.
Yeah.
We're all frustrated that the running game has disappeared, but it's still a good thing to have 3 tackles. Like, that's not a problem you have to solve.
Yeah, and to be quite honest with you, I think the Cowboys are now at the point where they were years ago when they drafted Travis Frederick and they remade their offensive line over the next several years. That's where they are right now.
If there's
this offseason, they need to start thinking we need to focus on our offensive line, because although Tyron still plays well, Tyron's at an age where his health is failing.
I'm getting the next Zach Martin / Connor Williams in between them, because that's probably where you're going to be picking.
Yeah.
You're not going to be picking them at 14. You're not going to be 50. A guy that played guard or tackle that can play guard and project him at guard, that's the guy that I'm taking in the mid-20s or whatever, 30, whatever you're picking. I don't know.
Somebody's going to be playing soon, though.
That Chargers left tackle's pretty badass. Just saying.
No, you can't.
You
can't sit there and compare him to LT.
He's nice, but I wouldn't trade him for
nobody.
At this point.
The Chargers are not.
I'm not saying. Right. I'm not saying they made a mistake. But again, this is what we were saying. This is what we were talking about a month ago. If Rashawn Slater's an All-Pro for the next decade, the way Tyron Smith has been, 8 years from now, you might rethink that.
Although
right now, no way in hell.
If Micah is as dynamic a defensive player as he's shown himself to be so far for the next 8 years, I think every team would take him over that time.
Let me ask you this. This is kind of similar. In 2011, the Cowboys had a chance to draft J.J. Watt. They didn't. They drafted Tyron Smith.
Right.
Do you think that, and this is close, I mean, do you think that they regretted that? Or do you think Houston was like, man, I'm glad? Because that's sort of what we're talking about.
No, and I
Slater
think,
could be him.
Again, everybody always wants to be right. This might be a situation where there's no wrong answer. They're both great, and both teams might be like, yeah, we did the right thing.
And it kind of depends on what you need from your team, right? If you want that dominant defensive player, then you want that. If you want that left tackle that's there forever, then that's true. It's just what your flavor is.
I'm not trying to suggest they're wrong for drafting Micah. It's just interesting, and that's what makes the draft so great. Is he's balling out. He's playing. I mean, he could win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I doubt it because that's always going to go to like a quarterback. But
he's played well.
He's playing that well. Yeah.
There's going to be a tough one there because the receiver for the Bengals.
Oh, he's getting that.
Mac Jones. Mac Jones has done a really good job too.
Chase screwed Burrow over yesterday. I'm mad at him.
That drop.
Yeah.
The drop that turned into a pick. He Amari Coopered him. Yeah. If you remember from the 2019 Packers game.
Yeah.
If Amari catches that ball, I think they win that game. That's one of my.
Does that mean you love Burrows more? Like you can't do anything to Burrows. Like you're mad at
there's no S.
Burrow, whatever.
Yes. Joe Burrow must be protected at all costs. Even Jamar Chase. Like nobody's free from this.
I mean, and the guy that ran that whole thing. I mean, they're just going to cut him in Carolina like that.
Yeah. Hopefully he comes back to LSU.
Jeez.
Let's go.
Y'all could use it.
Yeah, we could.
I mean, why don't you give him a better quarterback?
Exactly.
Figure out the quarterback spot before you just cutting him off like that.
I completely
That kind of makes me mad, and I don't even know the guy, but I'm like, okay, it's not like you didn't. Oh, you couldn't fix Sam Darnold. Well, who could? Hey,
good point. All right, we're gonna take our final break. When we come back, we got some questions from you guys. We'll hit Twitter and see what we can come up with there. We'll be back. This is DallasCowboys.com radio.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
At AT&T, everyone, new and existing customers, get our best deals on every smartphone. Why? Because you deserve it. For turning your living room into your office and your gym. For teaching grandma how to video call and teaching her again.
It's the button on your left, Nana. Okay, your other left.
It's not complicated. Everyone deserves something new. So AT&T is giving everyone, new and existing customers, our best deals with every unlimited plan on every smartphone, even the latest ones.
AT&T may temporarily slow data speeds if the network is busy. Restrictions and exceptions may apply.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with...
And I'm Jay Novacek, and we're both with...
United Ag and Turf, the official tractor provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
So, if you need a tractor to bale some hay, a mower to cut some grass, or a gator to get some chores done...
Get a John Deere at United Ag and Turf.
And then, let's get to work.
Hey, Jay, that's my line.
Well, not today.
Get to work with a John Deere tractor package that's just right for you and your budget. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at Stetson.com/Cowboys.
Back to the break.
Hold on just a second. I'm going to come out with the best read ever. This one's coming from Essler. Whether you're watching from home or cheering in the stands with Essler lenses in this holiday season, you'll see every exciting play. Book an appointment at your local Essler experts and find the perfect Essler lens for you. See more, do more. Essler.
Welcome back. Final segment of the break, live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios at the Star. Let's take some questions. We got a question here from Art Vandalay on Twitter. He says, all across the league, when things break down, quarterbacks are making plays with their legs. Dak, before injury, averaged 1.6 first downs a game with his legs. This season, he only has 2 total. When the offense is struggling to make first downs, should he look to run more?
Yeah.
That's definitely an element that's been missing from his game. And I think it was... he had like a pretty nice scramble against the Giants, I think, and it scared the crap out of everybody because it was like a similar part of the field is where he got hurt. It certainly looks like he's got all the same amount of mobility as he did before. And people have asked about the calf injury. Football players are always dealing with something, but like nothing about the way that he's moved in any of these 4 games since he came back leads me to believe that he's significantly hampered by it. And so, yes, the answer is yes. And I don't know if that's his own reluctance or, organizational pressure, like, hey, you got to be available, or maybe a combination of all of the above, but it's a useful element of his game that has been lacking.
Yeah, I mean, he said it. Everyone said it in the offseason. He's got to be smart about it. He's going to run some. And this is what we're seeing, him being smart about it. That's what that is. He's not running as much. I definitely believe it has something to do with what happened last year. That cost the team. They didn't cost him anything money-wise, but that cost the team. The team wasn't the same. He knows that. He's got to be there for his team. So it's a tough balance. It's not easy to sit there and say that.
That's a good, and to be fair, I mean, he ran for a touchdown against Atlanta. He bowled a guy over. It's not like, I don't think he's like afraid to run. Right. I just think that probably weighs heavily on you. I know he was getting killed on Twitter. It was the first series of the Saints game. He had like an open pocket of grass on the left side, and he scrambled, and he threw it instead, and everybody was yelling at him that he didn't run. And from where we were sitting, I was like, okay, there's like an end tailing the play and 2 linebackers. Like, maybe he gets 4 yards. Like, maybe he gets 5 or 6. Best case scenario, and he's probably going to take a shot. Is it worth it? I mean, if he gets concussed doing that, was that worth it? So, yeah, that's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah, and if you go back and watch that New Orleans game, you'll notice that there were quite a few plays, especially on those third downs, when they were spying Dak. Like, they literally had a linebacker staying right in the middle of the field waiting to see if he tried to take off. And, I mean, that speaks to the fact that other teams, I think, recognize that in those critical downs, he can be a problem with his legs. Now, Dak's not the kind of guy, you got Lamar Jackson. Even if you got somebody spying him, he's going to make some opportunities out of running. That's not Dak. Dak can run when nobody's paying attention, and now he can pick up some yards from it. But you got a guy spying him, Dak's not going to get a lot out of that. Dak's not a particularly fast or elusive runner. He's a powerful runner, but he's not a particularly fast or elusive runner. So when it all comes down to it, I just don't think he's had as many opportunities. I do think there are some times he's been a little hesitant, but I also think there are some times here recently when teams are basically saying, you're not going to do that to us on specific downs. You're going to have to throw the ball if you're going to get this first down.
I don't think that's the reason why the offense has been kind of herky-jerky recently. I mean, he hasn't really been doing it all year, and they were rolling. But
there's stats out there from his whole career that when he runs, it's like 30 yards. It's not a lot. It's like 30 yards or more. Mm-hmm. They're way better than when he doesn't.
I mean, if he runs 3 times for 15 yards, 2 of those probably picked up first downs, and that's the difference between converting 30% and converting 65% or whatever. So I don't want to overstate it, but I do think it's a useful thing that he just hasn't been doing this year.
There's been a quarterback. He's no longer here, and he didn't start a lot of games for the Cowboys, so it's not who you think. But he said before, well, why would you run when you can throw it? That doesn't help your quarterback rating. I mean, I don't.
If it's going to help your quarterback rating?
It doesn't help your quarterback rating to get 12 yards, whether you can throw it, complete the pass, and get 12 yards, and that helps your rating. I'm just saying, like people say that kind of stuff, and I don't know if that's right. I don't think Dak's that way. I don't think he's that way at all.
In 2021, we have EPA too, so there's ways we can balance. I'm sorry,
what is that?
We'll talk about it off the air, but you can quantify a quarterback's rushing ability in 2021,
and it should be. Yeah, to me, that should be part of your rating.
Yeah, absolutely, it should be.
It's like, oh, Lamar Jackson's 23rd or whatever. It's like, okay. Yep. Who's worried about him at night? Defensive coordinators. Yep. I mean,
every team he's about to play.
Right. Yeah. So that matters.
All right, let's take a question from Brian. I'm going to change his question a little bit. He's asking, what are the highest positions of need? He wants to go to draft. I don't necessarily think we need to talk about draft.
Let's go.
But just in general, like if you look at this team, we talked a little bit about linebacker. We talked about offensive line. Give me specifically, like, what are the positions where you think Dallas really needs some help?
Man, they're going to be sitting. I don't like to do that where they're sitting, but they're going to be they're going to be past 25. Probably.
They'll
be past 25.
22 to 32. I don't know.
All right. I mean, anybody other than a quarterback should be on the table. Don't you think? Anybody.
Pretty
tight
much.
end. What if it was a tight end? A pretty good tight end.
Yeah.
You think
up,
about
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Left tackle. So you think about it. Center guard, yes. Running back.
I think you should take a running back every year in the first 4 rounds, in my opinion. That's just
First
I think
four?
that's in one of your first
I don't
4 round
hate that
picks.
idea.
I would take a running back at least every other year.
Okay.
Yeah.
I absolutely would because the likelihood is you're going to get one of those 3rd or 4th round players that turns into a really good running back. But those guys too, they don't tend to have long careers. You give them 4 or 5 years and you're ready for the next one. So you always want to keep recycling them through. I don't think you go high with the pick at running back.
No, I was thinking lower, honestly, like
5th round, 6th round.
Yeah, but
that's fine.
I just think every position should be on. Now let's get a little bit more pressing. Then.
I mean, okay. Let's think
You
about.
say it and then get quiet. Like,
Well, I thought he was about to say something.
Well, let's think about this.
Going to the draft guy.
Interior offensive line is something that you could look at, A, because of contract situations, and B, because you're not getting elite level play out of a few of
Can
those
I
guys.
get a C, which I also would make it A? The value that you get at guard center
Yep.
at
Yeah.
number 23 or 24. You're talking about one of the better ones there.
The problem, the Cowboys are too good probably to have a shot at the Iowa center that everybody's gaga about, but that would be fun. Linebacker, I think. I know that sounds weird, but we kind of talked about it in the first segment, especially if Micah's going to kind of freelance, which I want him to do.
Yeah.
Jabril Cox is there, but we're not 100% sure what they have. So, yeah, I think they need to draft a linebacker in the top 100 picks next year because I'm not re-signing Leighton and probably not Keanu. That's just me. Safety. Jaron Kearse is great. He might price himself out of here, honestly. That's something you got to consider.
Yeah. But I would pay for it to keep him.
What if you don't know the price? I mean, what if it's?
He's going to get it. He's going to get more money than he would have gotten last year than he got last year. But I don't think he's at a point now where people are like, "Oh my God, we got to make him the highest paid safety in the league on 1 year of production." So I think it's going to be more, and I would be comfortable with paying him more.
To franchise him.
Let's see what else you got. I would rather,
even though he's playing linebacker.
I would rather
his
first
agent.
figure out what I'm going to do with Randy because I might have to franchise Randy.
I got the tag for Mr.
I got to keep.
94.
Yeah, but he's going to be here.
End could be again. What's going to happen with Micah? What's going to happen with Randy? What's going to happen with Tank?
Keep getting rushers. Yeah,
I think I'm running that
unrestricted. Dorrance would be unrestricted.
Dorrance is unrestricted.
about how many guys would you say are about to become free agents?
I mean, in any given year, it's between like 18.
And they got some guys
25.
that are actual players that are going to be free agents this year. That's the interesting part about it.
I mean, you're talking about starters.
Randy, Schultz, Gallup, Connor. Shoot, people probably don't want to hear me say this. I'd draft a receiver highly. Just keep that thing. Keep a strength to strength. I'm not saying first round.
But if you find one that you really like in the second, third round, I wouldn't be against that.
I mean, Michael Gallup was pick 81, and he had a decent rookie year, but it took him time to get going. Like, you can't wait until it's a drastic need. At least you shouldn't. Not if you're doing your job the right way.
But that's also why the offensive line is so critical, I think, is because they have waited, I think, a little too long to now start. Because now they got to rebuild this thing because, a lot of these guys
That's what I would do. I would go first and second round, honestly. You keep rebuilding that.
Yeah.
Then your fifth round running back is still effective in a system like this. You can find that, I don't want to say Joseph Randall, but Joseph Randall was a fifth round back and he wasn't bad.
Tony Pollard's a fourth round pick. That's awesome.
True. You can get good back, and that's my thing about backs. Like you can just, that's why I always am drafting ones because I just want to keep them in the pipeline.
But if you got that line, build it with that line.
Exactly right.
Center.
An offensive lineman and an off-ball linebacker are right now, and it'll obviously change, but that's what I think about, and throw safety in there just because that's what we do every year.
It's such a stressful thing. I hate that time of the year because it's so stressful. It's like it's easy when it's a bad area.
This is why I do this job. This is my favorite thing to talk about. Yeah.
So
well, when you lose guys that are decent, you're like, God, and now we gotta rebuild this whole thing because it's easy when you're losing guys that suck. It's like, okay, we can't.
Here's why mock drafts can be kind of tricky. People like to get on the mock drafts, and they're always done by somebody you've never heard of. I looked at 3 mock drafts the other day, mainly for different reasons. I was trying to see where certain players were going to be, players that I follow. But they all had the Cowboys taking a corner. because they wanted a corner last year and they didn't get one. So they obviously want one now.
And the narrative on Brown is that he ain't that great.
Anthony Brown, yeah sure.
That's the narrative. Yeah.
I mean,
he's not that great.
No, but
he's not great.
The narrative is wrong.
Good.
The narrative is wrong. There's a narrative that he is a bad cornerback. He is not a bad corner.
Yeah. He's not great. And in this world, everyone wants to find, plug holes, Diggs is this and that. But I mean, and they could take a corner if there's one that's there. I mean, why not? You always want to take a corner, but I don't know if it's as pressing of a need.
No,
and they did draft second and third rounder and hoping that they would play some. They haven't yet.
Even the really informed draft gurus only have time to keep like a surface level in mind. They don't know the ins and outs of every roster the way that we do. But I would, if the right corner fell to me in the first round, I would do it anyway. I don't care.
But that goes back to the original point. Is there are a lot of positions here where if you can upgrade the position, you take it. There are very few where you're like, I just wouldn't take it. I don't care who the player is. I'm just not taking a player at that position. Quarterback's really it. Other than that, you're probably taking a guy if he's a better player than other positions.
If they re-sign Michael Gallup and they have that receiver, those three, I doubt you would do that. You're not going to do that.
If you re-sign Gallup.
Yeah, if you re-sign Gallup, you're not going to take a receiver in the first round.
That's fair.
He just can't help you as much as some other position.
I would throw. I wouldn't draft a running back in the first round.
Yeah.
If any time after that, that's fine, but not in the first round.
I think I've done enough of that.
And I mean Zeke's not going anywhere. Yeah. And I don't know what's going to happen. Tony does still have one more year, so I mean, you can. And if there's one position where you can wait until it's critical, it's running back. Especially like we said, if the offensive line is good, if the quarterback's good. Whatever. Draft Alvin Kamara in the third round and have him be Rookie of the Year immediately.
Exactly.
Perfect.
That's exactly right. All right, we appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We're going to take some more questions. You guys hit us up on Twitter.
You're welcome.
Hopefully we'll get some more calls, some calls tomorrow during the show. Till then, for Nick Eatman, Dave Hellman, Amber Garcia, I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break, live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!